Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're tackling something that I think everybody struggles with at some point or another,
Yeah.
and that is achieving goals.
Yeah.
The source material that we're using today is called How to Take the First Step Towards Achieving Your Goals in Life.
It's interesting because this source really starts with the importance of self-knowledge. It's like the foundation of it all.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in that, like
Yeah.
what you want and kind of gloss over the why.
Exactly. And I think it emphasizes the importance of aligning your goals with your values,
Right.
like what truly makes you happy, because otherwise you might achieve those goals, but
Right.
still feel kind of empty inside.
Yeah.
So it really suggests spending time journaling and like not just to vent,
Uh-huh.
but to discover patterns in your thoughts and feelings.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like
Like
imagine
noticing patterns in how you feel.
exactly. Like you notice that after doing a creative project, you're feeling really energized, but then after like a day of back-to-back meetings,
Yeah,
you're feeling drained. That's a clue
totally.
about what kind of goals are going to be really fulfilling for you in the long run.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you have that self-knowledge, then the source brings up this framework called the SMART method.
Oh, yeah. SMART goals.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about this before, but I'll be honest, I always thought they were kind of rigid.
I understand that, but think of it as like adding structure to your ambitions, right?
Right.
So instead of just saying, oh, I want to learn a new language,
Right.
a SMART goal would be, I will have a 15-minute conversation in Spanish with a language partner twice a week.
Oh, ok-
So it's very specific.
okay.
It's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, it's time-bound.
Got it. Yeah, that makes way more sense. I think that's where I always got hung up,
Yeah.
was it just seemed too vague. But yeah, when you put it like that, it makes a lot more sense.
And it makes it tangible so you can actually
Yeah.
see your progress and track it.
Speaking of progress, the source also talks about like breaking down those big goals into smaller chunks.
Yes, absolutely. Like training for a marathon, you don't just run 26 miles on day one. You start small and you build up, right?
Yeah.
And those small wins along the way actually help you to stay motivated and build confidence. So
I can see that. It's kind of like that snowball effect.
exactly.
It starts small and it gets bigger and bigger.
Exactly.
It's funny because I always thought of positivity as kind of like a nice to have, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, of course, be positive. But the source really dives into like the power of positivity and actually
Oh, for sure.
like getting things done.
Right. Because it's not about ignoring the challenges, but
Mhm.
it's about approaching them with a mindset that believes that solutions exist.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the source talks about turning those negative thoughts into positive ones.
Okay.
And even keeping a journal specifically for positive thoughts.
Oh, a whole journal, huh?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I've dabbled in affirmations, but I never thought about like keeping a whole journal for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can think of it like strength training for your optimism.
Okay.
Right. So the more you practice reframing those negative thoughts,
Uh-huh.
the more it becomes natural for you. And,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, affirmations can be a really powerful tool.
Yeah.
And the source even gives that great example about replacing
Oh yeah.
I can't do it with I am capable and I will try.
It's so fascinating how like that little shift can make such a difference.
It's like you're tricking your brain to focus on possibility instead of limitation.
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'm guilty of this one. It's letting time slip away without making any real progress on my goals.
It happens.
It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
But the source really drives home the importance of time management.
Time management is key because it's all about making those conscious choices about how we're spending our time.
Right.
Remember, time is our most valuable resource.
Yeah.
And it even compares it, the source compares it to like artists who need that dedicated time to create their masterpieces.
Right.
So the source suggests, techniques like the Pomodoro technique. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've actually tried that. It's been a game changer for me.
Really?
Yeah, those little bursts of focus and then taking those breaks, it's really helped me stay on track.
I think it's all about working with your natural rhythms
Yeah,
instead of fighting against them.
totally.
And that actually ties in with another crucial ingredient the source highlights, which is self-discipline.
Yes. Self-discipline, not my strong suit.
But I know it's important.
I know. Especially when things get tough.
Yeah, but how does the source define it, and how can we actually cultivate more of it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, what do you think about that?
Well, I think of it as like that inner coach, you know?
Yeah.
Like the one that's telling you to stay focused when you just want to like,
Right, when you want to go watch TV or...
yeah, exactly. Or scroll, you know? Doom scroll.
Exactly. So how do we strengthen that muscle? It's like training any muscle. You start small and you build from there.
Okay.
So those daily goals that we were talking about,
Yeah.
that's where they come in. They help us strengthen that self-discipline muscle.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And the source gives these really interesting tips, like setting personal rules.
Okay.
Even using like rewards or penalties to reinforce those good habits.
Interesting.
Like find what works for you and be consistent.
Okay. So we've covered knowing ourselves, setting smart goals, cultivating positivity, managing time, and building self-discipline.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
But achieving goals isn't a solo sport, is it?
No, it's not.
You need people.
We're social creatures, right?
Yeah.
So the source talks about building that support system,
Oh, I love the
because our connections can play a huge role in helping us stay motivated and accountable.
For sure.
So sharing your goals with others can create that sense of responsibility. And it opens us up to that valuable feedback that we wouldn't get if we were just keeping it to ourselves.
Totally. So it's like finding those people that understand your goals
Yes.
and want you to succeed, you
Yeah.
know? Not the naysayers.
Not the negative people.
Yeah, exactly.
But people who are
Who are
genuine.
going to be your cheerleaders.
Exactly. And it's not just about receiving support, it's also about giving support.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, so it
Sure.
strengthens those relationships.
Yeah, you lift each other up.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got the plan, we've got the team, we've got the right mindset,
Right.
but let's be realistic. We're going to hit some bumps in the road,
It's going to happen.
you know? So how does the source suggest we handle those obstacles so they don't completely derail us?
Okay, well, I love this part. The source actually suggests we approach challenges like a game.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So instead of getting all frustrated,
Yeah,
it's about getting curious and problem solving,
okay.
And it even recommends having backup plans just in case things don't go exactly as expected.
That's brilliant.
It takes the pressure off,
It does.
And when we're less stressed, we're more creative and resourceful.
Right.
Which reminds me of another powerful tool that the source discusses, which is imagination.
Yeah, we touched on that earlier with the visualization thing.
Huh?
But how does the source see imagination playing like a larger role?
I think it's not just about picturing the end result, right?
Right.
It's about using our imagination to fuel our motivation throughout the whole process.
Okay.
It's about tapping into our creativity to find solutions, to overcome our fears, and to keep that excitement alive.
Like giving yourself permission to dream.
Exactly. And to believe that anything is possible. And sometimes that's all we need
Right.
to get unstuck and start moving forward.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the source gave some practical ways to kind of cultivate that sense of imagination,
Oh, yeah.
creating a vision board.
Vision boards are great because, especially for visual people,
It's a constant reminder of what you're working towards.
I'm very visual, so I totally get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've covered a ton of ground already, from self-awareness to the power of imagination.
It's a lot.
But hold on, folks, because we're not done yet. There's even more to unpack in the source. How to take the first step towards achieving your goals in life.
That's right. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to be exploring the importance of reflection and how to set ourselves up for long-term success.
And we are back for part 2 of our deep dive into how to take the first step towards achieving your goals in life.
Yeah,
And, it's so easy to get caught up in that excitement of setting goals.
for sure.
But the source really reminds us that reflecting on our experiences is just as important.
Absolutely. It's not just about, checking things off the list.
Right.
It's about understanding the journey.
Right.
And the source highlights the importance of, looking back at both our successes and our failures.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about learning and adapting our approach as we go. Like that saying, those who can't remember the past are condemned to repeat it.
Exactly.
Right. But in this case, it's like
Exactly.
we're learning from our past wins
Yep.
and missteps.
Exactly.
So we can avoid doing the bad stuff again.
For sure.
And replicate what works.
Yeah. So how do we actually put this reflection into practice?
Yeah, that's a good question.
The source recommends keeping track of your progress,
Okay.
but not just a simple checklist,
Right.
but a more thoughtful approach, like
Okay.
jotting down what you did, how you felt,
Okay.
challenges you encountered, and even things that surprised you.
So it's almost like turning those experiences into data points
Yes.
and then using that data to refine our approach.
Exactly.
Okay, it's starting to see a theme here, like being mindful and intentional
Yes.
throughout this entire process.
Absolutely. And this leads us to the idea of long-term success,
Okay.
something the source dedicates a significant portion to.
Okay.
Achieving goals isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. So how do we set our sights on those big long-term aspirations?
Well, the source actually has a suggestion for this. Creating a visual roadmap.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm a visual person too. So
Right.
that visual element can be incredibly powerful
Yeah.
because it keeps the big picture front and center,
Uh,
but it allows you to break it down into more manageable stages
right.
along the way.
I love that. And of course, the source also emphasizes the importance of taking ownership of the journey.
Yes.
We are the drivers, not the passengers.
Absolutely. We have to be proactive
Right.
and recognize that achieving goals is not just about the destination.
Right.
It's about the growth and learning that we experience along the way.
Right.
And sometimes that means adjusting our course.
Which makes me think back to those obstacles that we were talking about
Yes.
in the last part. It's inevitable
It's going to happen.
that we're going to face challenges,
For sure.
even with the best laid plans.
Exactly.
So how does the source suggest we approach those setbacks?
Well, this is where that game mentality comes in again.
Okay.
You remember that. So the source emphasizes seeing those challenges not as roadblocks,
Okay.
but as opportunities to flex our problem-solving muscles.
Okay, yeah.
And remember those backup plans that we were talking about?
Yes.
That's where they come in handy.
Okay.
Right. So we're staying flexible.
Right.
We're remembering that setbacks don't mean we've failed.
Right.
They're just part of the process.
All right.
And it's about adapting and finding a new path forward.
This whole game mentality is really resonating with me.
Yeah.
It makes it seem less scary.
It takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
And when we're less stressed, we're more creative and resourceful.
Yes, for sure.
Which reminds me of another powerful tool the source discusses,
Right.
imagination.
We touched on that a little bit.
We did with the visualization.
Yeah.
But how does the source see imagination playing a larger role in our success?
Yeah. How do we get there?
It's not just about picturing the end result. It's about using our imagination to fuel our motivation throughout the entire process.
Right.
It's about tapping into our creativity to find solutions,
Right.
overcome fears, and to keep that sense of excitement alive.
It's like giving yourself permission to dream
Exactly.
and to believe that anything is possible.
Yes, and sometimes that's all it takes to
Yeah.
get unstuck and start moving forward.
Totally. Yeah.
And the source provides some practical ways to cultivate that sense of imagination.
Yeah, like what?
Remember that vision board that we were talking about?
Yeah.
Surrounding ourselves with images and words
Mhm.
that represent our goals can be incredibly powerful.
Right, like a constant reminder
Exactly.
of what you're working toward.
It's about keeping that spark alive,
Yes.
even when things get challenging.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have covered so much ground in this deep dive.
So much.
From self-awareness to setting smart goals, cultivating positivity, mastering time,
Yes.
building self-discipline,
We talked about support systems.
support systems.
Overcoming obstacles.
Yes.
Harnessing the power of imagination.
Like we were given this whole toolbox
Exactly.
full of tools, and now it's about picking
Picking the right tool
the right one.
for the job.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't forget the crucial role of reflection.
Yes, yes.
Learning from our experiences and taking ownership of our journeys.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's all interconnected.
It is.
It's like we've been given this roadmap,
Yes.
but we are the ones that choose the destination
You're the drivers.
and the path.
That's a powerful reminder.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of powerful reminders, in the final part of our deep dive,
Yes.
we're going to be revisiting some of the key takeaways from how to take the first step towards achieving your goals in life.
Yes, we are.
And we'll leave you with a thought-provoking question to help you put all this knowledge into action. We're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into how to take the first step towards achieving your goals in life. It's been a really insightful journey exploring all these different strategies.
I agree. And one thing that I really appreciate about this source is that it gives us that framework for thinking about goals in a more holistic way. It's not just a bunch of tips.
Yeah, it's like we've been given this toolbox filled with all these different tools, and it's about choosing the right tool for the right job.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're feeling lost, take some time for that self-reflection. Do some journaling. Or if you need a boost of motivation, remember the power of those positive affirmations or reach out to your support system.
Right.
And if you hit a snag, don't forget about having those backup plans and remember to approach those obstacles like a game.
It's so true. But it all comes down to action, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We could talk about it all day long, but it's taking action that really makes the difference.
You got it. Knowledge without action, well, it's just potential energy waiting to be released.
That's a good way to put it. So for our listeners who are ready to take that first step, what's one small action they can take today based on what we've discussed in this deep dive?
Here's a question for you to think about. What's the smallest, most achievable goal that you can set right now that aligns with one of the strategies we've talked about? Maybe it's spending 5 minutes journaling tonight before bed,
Oh, yeah.
or picking one positive affirmation to repeat throughout the day.
Or even sending a quick text to a friend, telling them about a goal and asking for their support.
Oh, that's a great one. It's those small actions that create momentum. And that momentum, it builds confidence.
Right.
And then that fuels us to achieve even bigger goals.
This deep dive has been truly insightful, and I really hope our listeners are walking away feeling empowered to achieve those goals.
Me too. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep reaching for those goals.